Hello there.
And welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a minute. You're probably wondering why that's still. But, as the title suggests, I have, in a semi-recent area, gotten Nuxia to rep 70. I feel like you need to pull off a lot with her if you want to get her to actually work in her current state, or go up against people who don't really understand how she works. To be fair, that's a lot of people. Because you don't see that many Nuxias, because so many people treat her as a basic assassin. And I'm going to show you a few clips, along with some of my own commentary about how a Nuxia needs to perform. Well, not needs to perform, but ways that you can perform that will lead to better Nuxia gameplay. As for that little bit, why I didn't help out right there is because Nuxia is not a good minion clearer at all. And while yes, it was a 2v1, I think they fed revenge, so I think they had a chance to come back. And the only way Nuxia has good clear is if she runs caltrops. As you can see by my locked feats, I do not run caltrops. The way I have my feats set up is that it's so I can get a complete heal off of any executions. And Nuxia has a couple fast ones. Anyway.
Lost.
Yep. I'm terribly sorry. Hold up. If you're wondering why I just let a heavy fly on the first part, is because I was testing to see how this Kyoshin would respond. And as you can see right here, they like to parry. I took that into account, and I started using her very underappreciated mechanic, which is traps. And right there, he thought I was going to trap again, but instead I just threw a heavy. Now, take into account of this. Nuxia traps do 22 damage apiece, little under a bar. Nuxia heavies do, I believe, 24, 27, and 30 damage. So a little under, a little over, and somewhat over a bar of HP. If you're near a wall, that 30 damage heavy can very quickly turn into another 20-some damage heavy. If you run Deadly Duet, it does even more damage. But that's something that happens when you underestimate a Nuxia. Everybody always underestimates a Nuxia because of the whole talk going on when she released that, oh, you can just emote out of her traps, or oh, just move your guard. And the fact that you can also dodge out of it on certain timing, even if a character has superior block properties or deflect properties, her deflect still won't go through. But we're going to continue watching, and I'll keep talking about it. God damn it. Also, I was playing with a friend here for some of these videos. You'll see him, Lord Chungus, who in this case is the Kyoshin that was right there. He knew not to interrupt me because he's been around my Nuxia for a while. He knows, as he puts it, I have no pattern. I do have a pattern, just my pattern always depends on who I'm fighting. Again, I skipped over this right here because Nuxia is not good for clearing minions without a feat. Her side throw distance is also pretty ridiculous in case you want to get a good ledge, but you really shouldn't be ledging as an assassin. See, I am not unpredictable. I make this very clear to people who think I'm just this unstoppable monster. Yeah, see, right there would have been very nice to get the trap right there, because even though Nuxia traps do feed an absolute crazy amount of revenge, it's still nice to get them. That's also something that people say is you can guard break on trap timing, but as you saw right there, if they're guard breaking as they see the heavy, then it won't do much. Let me go back a little further. See? It'll just whiff. But the thing is, Nuxia can keep continuing her chain. Nuxia can also take those feint opportunities. 29 damage on a revenge trap. That's one thing you have to realize as Nuxia, is your primary source of attacks are going to be heavies. Lights are just there as additional pressure. And as for, you know, like, her tier 3 feat where all it does is slow somebody down, that can actually help out a lot in the game, as you'll see here. So you'll see this pirate running up here. I see that they immediately turn around and run away. I have a solution for this. Thread of Fate. They're slowed down to a walk. Duration is based on how close the Nuxia is to the person. Now, obviously, since it's pirate and they can dodge cancel out of things, that tends to make her traps or heavies, since they don't have the best tracking, kinda meh. There's also the fact that if you're, as a Nuxia player, you have to realize that being on the external of someone's guard is a terrifying thing, because they're not worried about actually dealing with you face to face, but your traps even affect external guard. There's also one thing you should never expect to land, which is that zone trap right there. But as you see here, he's not concerned with trying to get to me. And since my buddy there, Chungus, actually popped Fear itself, that made the zone trap, which normally does 32 damage, do 47 damage. Near 2 bars of HP. Now then, we're gonna go back a little bit, and I'm gonna show you one more clip of Nuxia being an absolute menace. Specifically against characters that have crush and counter properties. Because Nuxia's traps, for those of you that don't know, or for those of you that are new to the game, or don't really watch news on how a character operates, like Freeze or Havoc or whoever you would prefer, her traps need a guard property, and crushing counters count as a guard property.
Lost Zone C.
Now, obviously, if you swing early, like that Highlander did, then you can still throw the heavy normally, because his guard property has passed. I hang out here for a little bit and just keep track of A, even though I have all my feats. That can turn an assassin into a boosting character. That's one thing I do. I do apologize for that. Is that I constantly check my score.
Done my glass.
Also, fun thing that happened right there. The reason that those deflects landed, even though Nuxia's deflect is blockable, it has a direction, which means you can change the direction. On console, you have to rely solely on predictions. Or, you know, play one of 4 characters that I can think of right off the top of my head that can immediately deal with it. Lawbringer, because his zone has ridiculously small recovery. Kyoshin, because Kaze stance. Aramusha, because Blade Blockade. And Black Prior, because Black Prior. Now then, on to the rework. For those of you that don't know, Nuxia hard counters Conqueror in a lot of ways. Say, if they want to have their guard there, it's going to obviously eat the trap. And if it doesn't, obviously not. If Conqueror tries to all-guard it, then it'll just get blocked. Then, let's see here. Custom moveset. If Conqueror tries to zone... Yeah, let me... I don't come into the training that often. Then it gets caught in trap. Same with the zone trap. If the Conqueror tries to dodge, then if their guard would be in that direction, or normally if they were to guard at the proper timing, then the trap would happen because they have guard properties. Okay, so what I'm thinking for a rework is very simple. We take the deflect, we make it a trap instead of a 30 damage attack that can be blocked. Or we turn it into the chain ender, because see right there, can be blocked unless you change the direction. Which means that you need to change the direction for it to not be blocked. Which is 30 damage. That's higher than any other static damage deflect. Gladiators technically does more, because Gladiators is a bleed. But what I'm thinking is, we take it and it's either the zone trap property, where it just takes them down. Obviously it wouldn't do 32 damage, it would probably do something like 20 or 22, just like the same power over traps. Or we bring it so it's like the third hit of her heavy chains, so that it will actually drag and pull them. Which means you could get a wall splat for another heavy. Again, it obviously won't do 30 damage. It would probably do something like 20, 22 to have it stay in line with the others. Her deflect, though. Her deflect needs to be made unblockable. So that shit like that doesn't happen. Obviously, damage comes down from 30. Damage will probably be, again, 20, 22 to be in line with her traps. what I'm also recommending is that her side heavy chains get better tracking, because I don't know if you've ever fought against a Shigoki and they do that side dodge headbutt, which has an unnatural amount of iframes for when he does a little lean back. But personally, I think that needs to be reduced. And for a final thing for a Nuxia tweak, we need to take her third feat, I believe it's called Thread of Fate, and just give it a static duration. Don't make it so that don't make it so that it automatically just breaks if they distance themselves, because like Infection, or let's say who's got one, or Kensei, who uses Chilling Stare, that sticks on a person, or in the event that Nuxia is running Infection, that stays on the person no matter how far they run. If they can get across the map, then it would still be there if it's within that duration. Just make it a static slow down. As for one effect that I could possibly add on to it is make it so that they can't dodge either. Make it so that they have to try and sit there and fight. Yes, dodging is part of a lot of characters' moveset, but the thing is, she's registered as a isolator, which means that it's her job to keep somebody away from everybody else. Yes, that I know that characters typically don't, fall in line with their descriptors, like Warlord is a counterattacker, but most of the time, all you see Warlords be is Ledgelords. Whereas for Aramusha, it holds true, because his Blade Blockade sometimes feels like cheating with its instant startup. But yes, Thread of Fate needs to have that distance thing completely removed and make it so that they can't dodge. Yes, this screws over other assassins, but assassins rely heavily on the 1v1 and using all of their options, whether it be Orochi, whether it be Shinobi, whether it be Shaman, Berserker, Peacekeeper, Gladiator, even another Nuxia. It's a tier 3 feat, which means it's meant to help turn the tide of a fight or something that'll just generally make it so that you have a much easier time to fight, like Slip Through or Takedown, despite people never using Takedown. As for Caltrops, I would say I can't really say much about Caltrops because I don't use them personally. Again, I use Bounty Hunter, Executioner's Respite, and when that's also paired with my perk Devourer, that's a full heal. But that's just my personal setup. I'm not saying this is how you need to play Nuxia. The way that I play is just one method. But yes, for those of you doubting Nuxia, please take a second to consider about this rework. Take a second to, look at the character. If you thought about picking her up, try and actually fall into heavies are your main offense, not just lights. And please just disregard anything you've heard from when Marching Fire released, if you're from that time, because she is a heavily underrated character. And overall, my thoughts for a Nuxia rework: change the deflect, make it unblockable if it's going to stay, adding bigger sweeping arcs to her side heavies, and if I had to make one change that wasn't about Nuxia, I would say reduce the iframes on Shigoki's side dodge headbutt, because he still gets the iframes when he initiates the bash. There's no other character that has iframes during their bash. Well, save for Lawbringer, but, Lawbringer is an already crippled character. Again, I do apologize for not having uploaded in some time, like a proper video, but I do hope you enjoy it, and let me know what you think.